Welcome to the Ringer NFL show. I'm your host, Sheil Kapadia. Week 1 is in the books, and we just got finished watching what might end up being the game of the year. I say that if you're not a fan, perhaps, of the Baltimore Ravens, but we do have a guest today who is a fan of the Baltimore Ravens. I swear we didn't set her up. We thought she would just be a good guest to talk about this game, even if the Ravens won or if the Ravens lost. You know her. Her name is Mallory Rubin from The Ringer. And I could ask you about the game, but as your friend, are you okay? How are you doing is my first question.
I think it is fucked up that you asked me to do this podcast with you. Do you not know a single fan of the Buffalo Bills who could have subbed in for me? This is cruel and this is unusual.
I was waiting for you to say your mic wasn't working or your Wi-Fi was down or you weren't feeling well or you didn't get the messages. But you know what? I signed on and I saw your face and I knew we're ready to go. So let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to dive into every aspect. And you know what? If Mal just leaves at some point, then I'll take us home. But we're going to talk about what happened in the Bills' unbelievable comeback over the Baltimore Ravens, 41-40. Maybe get into some other Week 1 action here on the Ringer NFL show. This is the Ringer NFL show presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/RingerNFL to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Paid endorsement. All right, we are back on the Ringer NFL show. Let's start here. Now, obviously, you go wherever you want with this, but when did you start to feel the nerves of, oh my gosh, they might actually blow this game?
I never, as a Ravens fan, stop feeling that way. Okay. Which is like an important thing to understand, because even though my team has enjoyed an incredible amount of consistent regular season success, you know, I have grown accustomed to seeing my team in the playoffs. We don't need to talk about what happens there. I have grown accustomed to seeing my team on preseason contender lists, etc. I've also grown accustomed to seeing the Baltimore Ravens blow games in somewhere between perplexing and astonishing fashion in the fourth quarter. So when they had a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter, I was experiencing a state of supreme dissonance. On the one hand, I'm thinking, what could I talk myself into spending on Super Bowl tickets? Like, what's the responsible thing to do or not do as an adult, you know? At the same time, I can't allow myself to get comfortable. Josh Allen's on the other team. It's the Bills, right? And then when Derrick Henry fumbled, I knew it was over. I knew in my heart and in my soul and in my mind that it was over. And guess what? It was.
That really felt like the moment. I mean, there's 10:03 left, and Henry had just broken a 46-yard touchdown. He looked unbelievable tonight.
Incredible.
Incredible. Puts the Ravens up 40-25. Their defense gets a stop. Matabuke sacks Josh Allen on third down. The Bills are punting. The broadcast is saying fans are leaving the stadium here. And then from there, here's what happened.
Yeah,
Ravens go three and out. Yeah, a little reminder in case you blacked out. Yeah. Ravens go 3 and out. Bills have a touchdown drive. Henry fumbles. Bills score again. Ravens go 3 and out. And Bills drive for the game-winning field goal. Like, all of those things had to have. If one of those things doesn't happen, then we are talking about a Ravens victory. All of those things happen, and the Ravens lose this. So who's getting? You brought up a good point. This isn't like the only time this has happened. For this Ravens team, for a team that wins as consistently as they do, they lose stupid games more than any other really good team of the last 5 years or so. So in the group chats, when you are thinking, because you have to rip somebody for that. You can't just be, oh, it's football. Oh, the ball's not round. Weird things happen. Somebody has to get who do you rip for a loss like this, or why this keeps happening? Who takes the most heat?
Well, typically when things go wrong for the Ravens at the end of a game, it's a combination of factors. But even if it varies game to game, it all falls into the same bucket, right? It's going to be either turnovers or penalties, or the thing that I would say I spend the most time in my family and friend group chats, lamenting, which there were a couple moments like this tonight, but not really, which was a little bit of a relief to me, actually, is the receding into the shell of predictability and conservative play calling. That was not as present tonight as I think it has been in some of the other games that have just kind of popped like a bubble in the air in front of them. So yeah, they committed penalties that I wish they had not committed. I think that the secondary in particular had a poor game. This was not the debut from Alexander that I think Ravens fans were looking forward to. Wiggins had a couple bad series late. Obviously, we already talked about the Henry fumble. At the end of the day, for 85-90% of the game until that sequence you just ran through, the story of this game was that the Ravens offense looked unstoppable, irrepressible. You mentioned the first sack of the game on, I think that was the Bills' 9th drive that the Ravens finally broke through and got a sack. Mere moments before that, the broadcast flashed a graphic. Plays of 10 plus yards, 16. Plays of 20 plus yards, 8. You couldn't stop Henry. You couldn't stop Lamar. Zay Flowers had a huge game. And of course, then you flash back to last postseason and remember what a big deal it was that he was out, that he had the knee injury. So it just felt like everything was clicking into place the way it needed to. I chalk this one up more to, I think it's totally appropriate for people to say, how do the Ravens keep blowing games like this? I am saying that right now to you, and you were saying that to me. Yeah. This one feels a little bit more like Josh Allen and the Bills are on this run that feels like the thing that is finally going to happen for them. Is this the year that the Bills finally do it? Are they going to win a Super Bowl? Right. And everything from the MVP win over Lamar last year, which I think was not the appropriate outcome of that race. Very annoying that Collinsworth at the end of the game was whoa, that
was his last line. I was thinking of you when he said that. Yeah.
Does it? But you have the momentum of the MVP into the Hard Knock season where not a single thing happened other than talking about the fact that Josh Allen and the Bills want to win a Super Bowl, into this astonishing comeback. And then you have the Chiefs looking really vulnerable and the rest of the AFC field looking weak. So my takeaway from this game is the Ravens need to stop losing games like this, but these are still the best two teams in the AFC, and the race should still come down to these two teams.
I think that's right. That was one of my big takeaways. Honestly, even when I was prepping as the Ravens were up 40-25, that was still my takeaway, that I'm doubling down on my preseason, prediction that Chiefs aren't playing in the championship game this year. Now, I'm not overreacting to one game. I understand in December, we can all change our minds. But as I sit here right now, legitimately, if you were like, Sheil, here's $100, you can put it on any two teams in the AFC. Yeah. These are the two teams I would put it on. I mean, even tonight in this game, when one of these teams punts, it feels like a miracle. It's you're so, if you are the fan of the other team and you force them to punt once, you're like, that might be it. That might be all we need to win the game. It's crazy. I mean, you look at it, those Ravens' first 8 or 9 possessions, like you said, they looked unstoppable. I mean, they had a sequence on their second possession where they completed a 20-yard pass to Zay Flowers. Lamar Jackson has an 18-yard run. And then Derrick Henry has a 30-yard run. And in the football, conversation or whatever, there's always they're a pick your poison offense. This is the pick your poison offense where you could just tell Bills are trying to stop the run in the second half, and then they're going play action, and there's no one within 10 yards of Zay Flowers, and he goes off. So I think these are the two best teams. I think these two quarterbacks are just, they got each other sort of in their rear view mirror or whatever it is. They're crosshairs, and they're going back and forth. And it was incredible to watch. I feel like we are how many minutes in, and we haven't even brought up the fact that Josh Allen just, 4 for 4, 71 yards. Yeah. It's it shouldn't be that easy. They had no timeouts. There was 1:26 left. They're at their own 20. They have this kicker who they flew in, Matt Prater from the Red Eye or whatever they were saying. And he was able to get them that close. so easily. So yeah, he was incredible as well. I'm with you. These are the two best teams in the AFC.
Do you think that the Ravens should have gone for it on fourth?
I was going to ask you. That was on my list.
I can't really decide what I think about this because on the one hand, the field position, it's a bold but not indefensible play. You're basically immediately putting the Bills into field goal range if you don't convert, right? However, if you do, you have the game. And you should be able to convert in that situation if your offense has done what the Ravens offense has done this night. Now, at the end of the day, they didn't go for it. They punted, and the Bills got back to that position on the field anyway, but chewed up the clock, ensuring, in essence, that the Ravens weren't going to get the ball back. So then, of course, it looks like the wrong decision. In real time, it felt like a little bit of a coin flip. My heart was saying, like, I wish they would go for this and just fucking put the nail in the coffin here. That's obviously not what happened. What would you have done?
Especially when you think about the history of this franchise and this coach and this quarterback. I mean, I wrote a story like 6 years ago about how, they're going for it on fourth down. And to me, if any franchise is going to do that, it would be them. I mean, the situation was 1:33 left. It's 4th and 2 or 4th and 3, depending on where you look. They're at their own 39-yard line. So like you said, if you don't get it there, the Bills have to pick up maybe, first down, maybe 2 for... But you still had 3 timeouts left.
You have your timeouts and you have the clock to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're not... And the Bills at that point are not incentivized to be really aggressive and go for a touchdown. They're thinking field goal there. So once they get there, they're going to make you use your timeouts. They're going to kick the field goal. And you are going to get the ball back. I haven't done all the math of how much time they would have had at that point. But I think, yes, at the moment, I felt coin flip. I'll be honest. I wasn't like, you got to go for it here. But the more I think about it, if I'm a coach, it's less about analytical models. And it's more about, do I want Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry deciding the game? Or do I want to take my chances with Josh Allen not coming through? That's really all it comes down to.
I completely agree. That's where I landed too. You're running through all of the scenarios, you're trying to crunch the numbers, do the math on the timeouts and the clock. And at the end of the day, this is a little bit reductive, but it is also as simple as this is a battle between the two of the great players of their generation. And the decision put the ball in Josh Allen's hands instead of Lamar Jackson's. And Lamar didn't get to touch the ball again, which is actually kind of a classic Bills thing.
Right.
You made yourself the Bills in that scenario, which is just not a great place to be. So that's unfortunate. I think there's still a lot of positives for the team, obviously. And even when you look at Mark Andrews did nothing and was not involved in the game, which was puzzling to me, right? He had
I didn't even think about that until just now.
Had a target.
Oh my gosh.
Isaiah Likely was out. He's still recovering from his injury. Keaton Mitchell, a lot of excitement and talk about how he was making his return. He was inactive. And Patrick Ricard, people might be like, okay, a fullback didn't play. Who cares? I mean, he's obviously crucial to their offense and the way that they manage their personnel and their sets. So this is sort of where I immediately go, right? I'm like, okay, the doinked PAT, what could have been? All right, who wasn't out there? What could have been? What's going to happen when they get into a rhythm and start incorporating Andrews and Likely's back and they're using the tight ends the way that they want to, et cetera? This is the kind of loss, though, that is a little bit outside of what happened in the game, because the Ravens are a team for the last few seasons that have been subsumed by the narrative. And this is a narrative fueling game. And so some football fans or analysts are like, that stuff doesn't matter. Momentum isn't real, et cetera. Right. And then there are some people who think that feels like the biggest thing in the world. And I don't know, mileage may vary on where you are on any of that. But when these two teams are on a collision course for seeding in the playoffs and then potentially a rematch in the playoffs. And of course, I remember, and you remember, that when they played in the postseason last year, the Bills won that game because the Ravens had a chance at the end and couldn't do it and turn the ball over. Yeah. How is this not going to be on everybody's minds? And so it's just one more. That to me is more unfortunate ultimately than just starting the season with a loss. The Ravens lost to the Chiefs to start the season last year. They are as accustomed as they are to losing inexplicably. They're as accustomed to working their way back up the standings, right? That feels fine to me ultimately. it's more like that this is in the back of everybody's minds then when these teams take the field again. And that has felt like the insurmountable the hurdle in front of this team. So that is really unfortunate. I think that is back in the mix from the word go.
Yeah, I want to actually ask you more about that in a second. But what do you do tomorrow if someone says Lamar Jackson can't win big games? Someone's going to say, I should just let the show with it. You know, just sometimes
okay. So this is actually like a little bit pathetic and embarrassing and sad, but I'll admit it anyway. This is like kind of the nature of fandom, right? These are the conversations you have with yourself. I found myself, I'm not happy that Derrick Henry fumbled. He was having an incredible game. Half of the texts that I sent to my dad tonight were like, Derrick Henry is not human.
Yeah.
I was so relieved that Lamar wasn't the one who made a mistake, because I don't think it becomes unbearable at a certain point. It just becomes unbearable. So like, I don't think you have to be, I think, making a pretty bad faith argument to say that this loss was on him.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's why it was totally like someone's going to say it tomorrow. Sure. So I'm trying to prepare you as your friend, but I don't understand. You had the Derrick Henry fumble, you had the defensive lapses. Yeah. The coach didn't go for it on 4th and 2. By the way, before that, that 4th and 2 sequence, first down, they give it to Derrick Henry. Second down, they go jet sweep to Zay Flowers. And I don't like to analyze every single little play, but it's just like, if I have 3 chances to get 10 yards and I have Lamar Jackson and Derrick, like I would just want the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands before 3rd down on that possession. Yeah. So I think if there's one play called to rip, that is the one where I'm like, sure. what are you doing giving Zay Flowers the ball here?
That was inexplicable. I'm with you. And like, this wasn't just like a ho-hum Lamar night. Like this was a night where Lamar was generating historic highlight reels.
Yeah.
We watched him nearly take what felt like, but was not actually, but what felt like a 97-yard sack, and then somehow turn it into a 19-yard rushing gain. Like one of these incredible, you watch, they're going to print a poster of the squiggly line after, because it was so amazing. You're like, how is it possible for a person to do this? Like that's the kind of stuff that he was doing tonight. He had a great night rushing. He had a great night passing, and he had a great night making decisions. Right? He was protecting the football and he was consistently making the right read. And so the ball should have been in his hand for that entire sequence. The Flowers play there was I think, confounding. No question.
That was absurd. All right, let's take a break. I want to get back to what one thing you said earlier, because I think it applies to both Bills and Ravens fans. And I think it's something a lot of fans who get to this certain point with their team can actually relate to. This episode is brought to you by NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. NFL Sundays are back and you won't want to miss the action. NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV lets you catch every game every Sunday all in one place. And now new users get NFL Sunday Ticket for 8 payments of $34.50 per month. Head to youtube.com/RingerNFL and sign up now. New users pay $276 or 8 non-cancelable payments of $34.50 per month. First charged at purchase. Availability varies with NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games and YouTube TV base plan for local and national games. Base plan required. Device and content restrictions apply. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Excludes digital-only games. Commercial use excluded. No refunds. All right, we're back on the Ringer NFL show. Yeah, from a Bills perspective, we already mentioned Josh Allen was incredible. Keon Coleman. They just get contributions from so many guys. Their offensive line is very good. Ed Oliver, I still don't know how he took that ball from Derrick Henry. I mean, that was like, I haven't looked at every game of his career. That felt like maybe the best game of his career when you just consider the opponent there. But you mentioned the thing about Lamar. That's so real. I can picture, 15-year-old version of myself with Donovan McNabb. And it's like, I don't want the Eagles to lose because of him, because I know what the conversation is going to be after that. And with teams like this, like the Ravens and the Bills, we can appreciate they played a great week 1 game. There will be someone this week saying, who cares? It doesn't matter till the playoffs. They got to win in the playoffs. And so you get to this certain level with your team and you've been through so many big games with them where those conversations happen, where it's like, I love watching them for 17 weeks, but I know that what happens in January is going to be the only thing anyone remembers. And I don't want my guy to get criticized. So how do you appreciate sort of the week to week of this season, this game notwithstanding, there will be better games in the months ahead, having that in the back of your head? Because I think that's something that a lot of fans have to deal with.
I mean, you're asking something that, like, I think transcends consumption or fandom and gets into like the existential nature of like, is it possible for people to be happy? I mean, I get to enjoy the unique pleasure of watching Lamar Jackson play football. Like, what is there to complain about? You know, we've worked together for a few years. We're pals. You know how I am about this stuff. Like, we have had many conversations that were supposed to be hour-long planning meetings that just ended up with me running you through very protracted scenarios where I had talked myself into like taking my dad on a 70th birthday trip to an Orioles World Series that never materialized. Like, I'm always living in the future before we get there. And that's just like part of the pleasure ultimately of rooting for a competitive team, is like to get to like talk yourself into, maybe delude yourself into thinking they have a chance. Like, that's part of the joy of it at the end of the day. When it goes wrong, like, I guess where I am with it is it can only go wrong. This is the twisted, warped logic of a person who's watched their team shit the bed in the playoffs a lot. You can only disappoint that many times if you're pretty regularly there, you know?
That's true.
And so there's something about just like the machine and their ability to be competitive. I think a lot of teams in the AFC look dreadful. Obviously, it's week one. Week one overreactions in both directions are a matter of course every year. Like, a lot of the teams that look terrible today are not going to be that bad. And a lot of teams that look competitive today are not ultimately going to be relevant throughout the course of the season. The Ravens will be a relevant team this season. Like, the Bills are going to be a relevant team. These are going to be two of the Super Bowl contenders. I think that just feels true. So I don't know, like, it doesn't diminish my joy to think about the failures in postseasons past or the prospect of a failure in the future postseason. Like, why watch it all if that's your relationship to it? All that said, how can you not kind of think about what feels like a pattern that is almost inescapable? And at the end of the day, and again, there's genuinely no team. This is why I think that the Bills and Ravens kind of sharing this like elite quarterbacks and teams and players of a generation era, obviously, like, to this point, both in the shadow of Mahomes and the Chiefs, of course, is that like no fandom and no team understands what that's like better than the Bills, right? Who have gotten to a place that the Ravens have not gotten with Lamar, the Super Bowl, and weren't able to push through. So I don't know. It's like, I don't have a great answer, because I think you're asking something that a lot of different fans like would maybe say they felt a certain way about. But at the end of the day, the test is always going to come when it comes. Like, I watched the Orioles be a sub 500 team for a decade and a half, and I loved every second of it. Like, I'll ride with my team when they underperform. It's, I think, in some ways more painful to be good and keep falling short, though. So
I was there, as you were talking, I'm like, wait a minute. I know it's because when you have the experiences of your team sucking in whatever sport it is, just a team you care about or you like, then when you get to this stage where they're always competitive and others are ripping you because, you're not getting it done in the playoffs, you're like, screw you. You know, it could be that they're 8-9 or not even in the playoffs. So I'm going to enjoy this, and maybe this will be the year that one of them breaks through. And I actually do think it's going to be the year one of them, the Ravens or the Bills,
I think so too,
actually get to the Super Bowl. So this will be my last question for you. I am a football genie. Now, for our YouTube viewers, I'm not dressing up in this particular episode as a football genie, but I can tell you that the Ravens do not have to face one quarterback in the playoffs. Whatever their path to the Super Bowl is, who do you want me to take off the plate where you can enjoy the rest of the season knowing you don't have to face either Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes on your way to the playoffs after this week one game, trying to avoid the recency bias? Who am I taking out?
Allen, without question.
Without question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Ravens have not had success against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't want to pretend otherwise, but Josh Allen is like playing God's tier football. I mean, how could that not be the choice? It's like, on the one hand, as a football fan, if I remove my Ravens fandom from it, I think Lamar versus Josh Allen in the postseason is the thing everybody would probably be rooting for and want to see in the AFC this year. But as a Ravens fan, the prospect of having to go through Josh Allen is terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, that 2 minutes left, I think, whatever it was, 90 seconds left in. Now with Mahomes, I personally would feel the same way. It's just, that offense, and they got a lot of stuff to work out. It feels like this season where the Bills and the Ravens, their offenses were the two best in the NFL last year, and they picked up where they left off this year. Defensively, I'm not going to draw any conclusions to either of these defenses. Let's see what they look like against a normal quarterback in the weeks ahead. So there you go. You made it. See? What a trooper.
Listen, I'm very fond of you, and I'm very fond of the Ringer NFL show. I'll do anything for content. This was an absolutely miserable night. It's just terrible. And I'm just like looking at the schedule, and I'm seeing Browns, Lions, who just looked dreadful and lost today. Chiefs, so that'll be interesting. Texans, Rams. I mean, it's not an easy schedule here for the Ravens. So on the one hand, they have an opportunity to like make some statements, get back on track. On the other hand, I look at the Bills schedule and I see Dolphins, I see Jets, Dolphins, easier. Saints. I mean, we're going to be talking about the Bills as like I think an unstoppable force here for the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's why I did a coin flip between Bills and Ravens for my Super Bowl pick, and I went with the Bills just because their schedule was easier, and I thought maybe they have a chance at home field advantage. All right, well, you get a card you get to turn in at any point when the Ravens have a great win this year, and you just say, I'm coming on the Ringer NFL show. What day, what time are we recording? And we'll do that. So thank you to Mallory Rubin, the Ringer Zone, for taking the time to talk Ravens. I'll be back in a minute to finish the show with the Hurry Up. All right, the Hurry Up is our closing segment where I give you a take on news in the NFL. And I think we're going to see our first QB change before week 2 even starts. If you watched Commanders Giants on Sunday, you saw some of the worst body language you'll see in a week 1 game. Malik Neighbors, Brian Daboll, they get into it in the first quarter. Again, this is the first quarter of the entire freaking season, and they're already getting into it. Neighbors ended the game with a towel over his head. Giants scored 6 points in the loss. They did not score a touchdown. They had 231 total yards, and Russell Wilson was 17 for 37. I couldn't help watching that thinking, we all know where this is going. I legitimately don't think I can find anyone out there. If you're out there, let me know, who thinks that if the Giants just stick with Russell Wilson and give him some more time and wait till the offensive line gets healthy, it's going to get better. Like, is anybody making that argument? I don't think so. So it is time for a bit of an early season Hail Mary if you're Brian Daboll, because Giants ownership watched your offense look terrible yet again. By the way, if they, were flipping channels, they might have also seen your old quarterback, Daniel Jones, going up and down the field with his new coach, Shane Steichen, and the Indianapolis Colts. So you're in a tough spot right now, and you're trying to keep your job, and you can't really afford to be patient. You don't have time. This is it. Now, I told you on the podcast last week, hopefully you listen to every episode, but I'll remind you if you don't, not to overrate Jackson Dart's preseason performance. And I still feel that way. There's a chance Jackson Dart comes in and he stinks. But if you're Brian Daboll, it's your only hope. And Dart at least showed enough in the summer to move up to number 2 on the depth chart. So maybe there's at least a little something there that can give you a little juice and give the team a little bit of energy. So I kept hearing about the great vibes in Giants camp this summer. And I thought to myself, this is an offense that's returning 10 of 11 starters. Like, how good could the vibes actually be? 10 of 11 starters on an offense that sucked last year. So the only change they made was at quarterback. And now they're mostly stuck. They have only one move to make. That move could end up being a disaster, but it's Brian Daboll's only choice. Let's see if he makes that move this week. And next week, we're talking about Jackson Dart being the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. All right. Lots of other great storylines from week 1 to get to. That's why we do daily pods. We can get to a bunch of them on all the shows this week with various guests. Can't wait. Looking forward to all of that. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Christopher Sutton for producing, Kiera Givens and Brian Waters on social. Additional production supervision by Conor Nevins and Arjuna Ramgopowell. I'm Sheil Kapadia. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Ringer NFL Show. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.